We're here to see the results and the letter for round 19. See how that turned out. That's actually okay. What we had, I mean, Dougie started it off, beating off. Wow, beating Essendon. Decently close game, and then you had the Gold Coast getting on the Giants. You had Richmond getting the win here over the Hawks. A big victory, a very big victory for Carlton. You had there's a couple of interesting games. You had Brisbane over Geelong. You had Collingwood finally winning. My goddamn, they got over Port Adelaide. You had Adelaide by 5 points on Melbourne. Then yesterday you had this crazy game, which was Freo and Sydney. And then today you had another big victory, which has its own kind of like reverse craziness, with North winning by 87 on St Kilda. So what does that mean for our ladder? Interesting stuff. Fremantle still on top, of course. They've been on top since round 2. They got the 56 points. Bulldogs are still right behind them. They got 52. They're right there. You see the remaining teams in the top 4. You got Richmond. You got GWS. It's kind of been that way for quite some time now, these 4 teams. Melbourne are right behind, though. They got 42 points. You see Port Adelaide here on 40. Rounding out the 8, you got Essendon and Adelaide each with 38 points. This is Adelaide's first time in the 8 since, I don't even know. They've been out for a while, but they're back in there. Looking right on the outside, it's very, very interesting here. You got Brisbane, Geelong, Gold Coast, and Sydney, whose percentage is dog crap at 84. All of these teams are just 2 points outside the 8. St Kilda, that win would have been really big for them to be on the 36 as well, but they're now on the back foot having to get in. They are on 32 points. You have Carlton there on 30. West Coast, I mean, they got themselves on 26. It's like, look, it's not great, but I mean, it could be worse. Oh, North Melbourne. Speaking of a team they get to play, North Melbourne right here, as well as Hawthorn, each on 20 points. The North Melbourne victory it's kind of funny because it puts Collingwood remaining back on the bottom. Collingwood finally got their win. Their percentage is at 94.92. Quite a decent percentage. There are teams inside the 8 who have worse percentage than them. You know? But they just can't. They just can't get enough wins. They ain't making it the 8. It ain't gonna happen. They got a quite nice percentage for wooden spooners. But they're on the bottom despite getting their win this week. Speaking of Collingwood, that is the next game we have. When we hit round 20, it'll be Collingwood versus Carlton kicking us off. So, nice little recap again at our top 8. Freo on top. Bulldogs, Richmond, GWS. That's been our top 4 for quite a while. Melbourne, Port Adelaide, Essendon, and Adelaide rounding out our finals positions.